The first thing you notice when you see Jungkook lately is how tired he is. His eyes look sad and dull, as if he hasn't slept well in days. His face shows exhaustion, and that's worrying. It's not a fake image or part of some show. It's the consequence of the constant, hard work the company imposes on him. Jungkook has been fulfilling events, recordings, and commitments he can't refuse because they're part of what he has to do. Jungkook isn't doing these things because he wants to, but because it's what he's contracted to do. Many people have criticized him, pointed fingers at him without knowing the truth, but his face says it all. He's doing a paid gig. But his personal life, especially his relationship with Taehyung, isn't included in that contract. Jungkook was clear in a fan sign in Japan: if he doesn't perform with Taehyung, it's because their relationship isn't meant to be shown. They don't need to appear at every event together for their relationship to be real. They chose to keep their connection private, away from cameras and rumors. And that's something that's respected. Taehyung said the same thing in episode 3 of Are You Sure? When he travels or eats with someone important, he doesn't share it on TV shows. Not everything should be shown to the public. Their private life is theirs, and they only share it if and when they want. That's why Taehyung understands that proof shouldn't be demanded of them. The important thing is that they're okay and that they respect each other. When Taehyung arrived at Jin's concert, he didn't need to say anything to stand out. He got out of the car wearing a simple t-shirt, but he looked strong, with a well-trained body. He wasn't going to be part of the stage or sing. He was simply there to support them. But his presence alone was enough to mark the moment. He was standing next to Namjoon and J-Hope. The three of them seemed at ease, enjoying the show from their seats. They didn't need to be on stage to show their affection for Jin. In Taehyung's case, his decision not to participate was a clear way of showing respect. He knows when to step aside and let someone else have their moment. And even though Jungkook couldn't make it to the concert, that doesn't change anything. Everyone knew he was exhausted, that he needed to rest, and that he'd been doing too much lately. His absence wasn't out of disinterest, but out of necessity. And Taehyung, more than anyone, knows this. Not everything needs to be said to understand each other. They don't need to be together in every place to stay connected. When one is missing, the other understands. When one needs support, the other gives it without making it public. That kind of connection doesn't depend on appearances or events. It's something only people who truly care for and understand each other have. That's why Taehyung fans don't need to always see them together. They know their relationship isn't measured by a picture or a video. It's measured by gestures, by the way they care for each other without having to show it all. Taehyung didn't go to the concert to be seen. He went to support. Just like he supports Jungkook, even when they're not in the same place. Every step they take, they show that their relationship is based on trust and respect. Not on other people's expectations. Not on the public's opinion. And that's what makes what they have true. While others keep looking for proof, they just keep going, steadfast and connected, without needing to explain. There are times when gestures speak louder than words, and the relationship between Taehyung and Jungkook is a clear example of this. Over time, they've shown themselves to be very close, and not just as bandmates. There's visible evidence that there's a special connection between them that goes beyond what many might call friendship. For example, it was recently seen that Jungkook chose a new stuffed animal wearing red shorts, very similar to the ones Taehyung has worn on different occasions. These types of coincidences aren't new. Jungkook tends to choose objects, colors, or details that directly link him to things that remind him of Taehyung. This isn't something made up or part of unfounded theories. It's a reality that can be verified by observing his actions and choices over time. When Taehyung went to Jin's concert, many noticed that Jungkook, in previous videos, had worn a shirt very similar to Taehyung's. Even in one of those moments, he imitated one of Taehyung's most recognizable expressions, playfully sticking out his tongue. These gestures aren't part of a planned spectacle or a show created to attract attention. They don't need cameras or stages to show what they feel. They do it naturally, and whenever you observe them closely, their expressions speak volumes. There's something very strong between them, something real that can't be erased by rumors or those who try to deny it. Jungkook and Taehyung share a closeness that isn't seen with other members of the group. They understand each other without speaking. With just a glance or a gesture, they can tell how the other feels. They support each other in important moments, take care of each other when they're tired, hold hands, and gently massage each other when they need to relax. These touches don't happen with just anyone. What exists between them is based on respect, trust, and a connection that has strengthened over the years. When they're together, a different kind of tranquility is evident. They look at each other calmly, speak in low voices, and accompany each other in the most intimate moments of their routine as artists. An example of this are the videos that have been shared of them in the dressing rooms, just before going on stage. There you can see how one encourages the other, how they help each other focus and feel confident. They are short but very meaningful scenes. These are not rehearsals or moments prepared for fans. They are fragments of the reality they share, and they reveal the emotional closeness that unites them. The relationship between Taehyung and Jungkook is constant, silent, and true. It doesn't need big words or public declarations. It is present in the small details, in the objects they choose, in the gestures they repeat, in the glances they exchange when they think no one is watching. In addition, there are attitudes that reinforce this bond in everyday life. For example, they have been seen wearing similar accessories, choosing songs with messages that seem spoken between them, or performing repeated actions that reflect a unique complicity. For those who have followed them from the beginning, all of this forms a clear thread that connects every moment. Many may wonder if it's all a coincidence. But when coincidences occur so frequently, they can no longer be considered just that. They are clear signs that there is a deep and special relationship between the two. And although they don't always express it with words, their body language, actions, and looks speak volumes. Therefore, when we talk about Taehyung and Jungkook, it's not just about two members of the group. It's about two people who support each other from the heart, who share a unique way of communicating, and who have built something authentic. Their relationship doesn't need labels or forced explanations. Just observing how they behave with each other is enough to understand that there is a bond that unites them beyond the professional. Sophia and Megan, members of the girl group Cat's Eye, shared their excitement about the prospect of working with two artists they deeply admire, Taehyung and Jungkook. In a recent interview, Sophia clearly expressed her desire to collaborate with Taehyung, mentioning how much his musical style impacts her. She said, "I really want to collaborate with Taehyung because I love his solo work. My dream is to have Taehyung and Laufey on a song." These words reflect not only admiration for his talent, but also for the kind of atmosphere Taehyung creates with his music, a blend of elegance, depth, and artistic sensibility. For her part, Megan also made clear her desire to collaborate with Jungkook, something that came as no surprise to those who know her. In a recent BuzzFeed Channel session, while answering questions with her bandmates Yoonchai and Sophia, she enthusiastically commented, "I really want to collaborate with Jungkook because he also likes to dance." While their fellow musicians nodded smilingly, showing they share the same enthusiasm. These kinds of statements are not isolated. Many artists, both emerging and established, have expressed their desire to work with Taehyung and Jungkook. They are both well-rounded musicians, with exceptional voices, stagecraft, and a charisma that transcends the screen. However, beyond their individual talents, what many people have begun to notice is the special connection that exists between them as a couple. Although some try to see this closeness as something planned or part of a show, the truth is that the relationship between Taehyung and Jungkook goes far beyond what could be rehearsed. There are a series of gestures and behaviors, repeated over time, that demonstrate a real and deep emotional relationship between the two. It's not about what they say with words, but what they express with their actions. When you watch moments shared between them, it's easy to notice how they look at each other naturally, how they touch each other without reservation, and how they seek each other out even when they're not the center of attention. This kind of connection can't be faked. Cameras can capture many details, but they can't create something that doesn't exist. In this case, what you see between Taehyung and Jungkook is authentic. One of the most striking aspects of their bond is the repetition of certain gestures that, over time, have become characteristic of each other. For example, when they're together, it's common to see them snuggling up close to each other, gently touching each other's arms or shoulders, or even laughing while looking directly into each other's eyes. These gestures, although seemingly small, have an important meaning. They reflect closeness, comfort, and mutual trust. They aren't isolated or random actions, but rather consistent behaviors that appear whenever they're together. The relationship between Taehyung and Jungkook doesn't need extensive explanations because their gestures speak for themselves. Over the years, we've seen how they've built a solid relationship based on mutual understanding, respect, and a form of affection that is expressed without words. Many fans and observers note that this behavior doesn't change depending on the location or who's watching. On the contrary, even in public spaces, they behave naturally, without forcing anything and without hiding their closeness.